Hello friends, welcome back once again to this channel Aspire to Attain. We are running through a series of literary terms and today we are going to discuss T.S. Eliot's famous theory, the theory of impersonality. And this theory has been given a beautiful expression in his critical essay. If we look into this essay, we see there the clear idea of the theory of the impersonality. This theory was given a brilliant expression by T.S. Eliot against the theory of the Romantics or the Victorians, who thought that poetry is the of emotion. This theory has been given a beautiful expression in his essay Tradition and Individual Talent. T.S. Eliot, in his Talent and Individual Talent, gave a beautiful description of the theory of impersonality. So, if we look into the very idea of the impersonality, we feel that it is a creation process in which the poet's involvement is quite impersonal, and he must be quite objective rather than subjective. And this opinion clearly contrasts to the opinion of the Victorians or the Romantics. Because the Romantics thought that, Victorians thought that a poetry is a medium where the poet or author expresses his own heart or own emotion. And therefore, the poet there becomes quite much more subjective. And the poet or literary work became their own self expression. But T.S. Eliot does just the opposite thing. He says that the more a poet gets much more impersonal, the creation much more become bigger. That means that if a poet becomes impersonal from the opinion, from the topic that he deals with in his poetry, then this artwork, this poetry becomes much more vigorous, much more gigantic, and much more appealing. And then, therefore, there is no need to learn about the poet's history, about the poet's life. Rather, it is the poetry itself which will illuminate itself, which which will highlight itself by its own self, by its own work of creation. Therefore, T.S. Eliot says that the progress of an artist is a continual process and it is a self-sacrificing process. It means that when a poet is composing, when a poet is writing some brilliant work, he is actually turning his own personality out from the entire grasp of the poem and gives a brilliant exposure of the idea that he is actually willing to deal with in this poem. And here he is not at all judgmental, rather, he is quite impersonal. While elaborating the idea of impersonal theory, Eliot says that the poet and the poem are two separate things, and that the feelings or emotions or vision resulting from the poem is something different from the feeling, emotion, vision in the mind of the poet. So it is quite clear that in a poetry, the expression of the poet's emotion can never be found. Rather, a successful artist is one who can generalize emotions in the reader's mind while he himself seems to be unaffected by an emotion. If we try to explain the entire idea in a scientific way, then we must have to take the help of the example that T.S. Eliot himself gave. T.S. Eliot brings an analogy of chemical reaction to explain this impersonal theory. He says that just take oxygen and sulfur dioxide in a pot, and then you enter there a platinum filament, and what will happen that in the presence of the platinum, this oxygen and sulfur dioxide will combine into sulfurous acid. So here we can see that the platinum is working as a catalyst, and he is only just expediting the entire process of becoming sulfurous acid by combining oxygen and sulfur dioxide, but the platinum remains ineffectual. This platinum is nothing but the mind of the poet. When a poet is remain inert and neutral and unchanged, though He's himself creating a general emotion in the reader's mind, then it becomes quite critical that he is really becoming quite impersonal. He is just remaining everywhere, but is not at all giving an effective touch to everyone. So the poet's mind is just like the same thing. He touches everyone's emotion, but remain ineffectual from his own emotion.